We're going. All right. Welcome to the GA, everybody. First on the agenda is work group reports without proposals. Anybody?
Action outreach work group. I'm going to be mainly reporting on the anti-foreclosure campaign because during that last work group, it was the day when the TV cameras were down at the park, so people were in and out. Pretty excited about that because the meeting was right across the street from the park. So on the anti-foreclosure campaign, the next two things coming up for that are on February 26th. We're gonna have hopefully a very large community meeting so that people can come and hear Jessica's story. Jessica is the young woman whose house is going to be auctioned off next month. Hear her story about going through foreclosure, and her mom is going to do a presentation on what happens when you buy a house and get foreclosed upon, like with a whiteboard diagram, and she's really knowledgeable about that. So that community meeting is going to be February 26th, possibly at First United Methodist Church. Mike Collier was supposed to get back to me today to give me 100% confirmation of that, and I haven't spoken to him yet. So that's a Sunday at 3 o'clock. If we don't have it at First United Methodist Church, I'm going to try for King's Books. But anyway, put that on your calendars. And March 9th is the big event, which is the day that Jessica's house is going to be auctioned. Hopefully, she went to a meeting this morning with sort of a nonprofit mediation group. 3 people from Occupy Tacoma went with her to the meeting. Mike, Sally, and Norma Adler, who has been part of Occupy Tacoma in the past, and she's interested in the anti-foreclosure campaign. But anyway, so Jessica is trying other things besides just going to that auction to disrupt the sale of her house. But anyway, if her house does still end up getting auctioned off, well, actually, let me clarify, we're still going to that auction, whether her house is in it or not. And we're going to invite, Jessica came up with this idea, we're going to invite everyone whose house is being auctioned that day. We're going to contact everyone that we can because that information is public. Everyone whose house is being auctioned, we're going to invite them to come and disrupt the auction. We're going to have our flyer done by the end of this week. Also, I wrote up a resolution to have the city stop having law enforcement evict people from their foreclosed homes. I wrote a resolution. Sally is trying to get a meeting with a couple city council members to look at the resolution and give us their opinion on it, on whether they think we could get it on the agenda, or maybe how we could get it on the agenda. And does anybody else have anything from Action Outreach Work Group that I'm missing?
Do you want to debrief on that?
I think I have it. I believe that the evictions are under the jurisdiction of the county, not Tacoma. Isn't that right?
Yes, but that does not mean that the city of Tacoma also has a Department of Human Rights, but they don't have jurisdiction of all human rights either.
No,
so,
but what I mean is that there would be county sheriffs that would be evicting them as
yes,
opposed
but that
to Tacoma police.
We're going to bring the resolution to the county as well. But that doesn't mean that the city couldn't also say, yes, we agree with this resolution, or no, we don't agree with it. We're not going to let them slide on jurisdictional issues. So we are going to bring it to the county in answer to that. But first, because we're in the city and we're more intimately related to city council, we're going to bring it to them first and then to the county.
This is a clarifying point. Bill Moyer, the backbone campaign, communicated with me, was specifically interested in being informed of any foreclosure activity. So should I call him up and give him those dates?
Joe Walter from Occupy Kitsap
Yeah.
is already in contact with him about it. And actually, I'm going to be bringing that up at the next work group meeting, is Bill Moyer actually wants to fund a group from Boston to come out and train us on how to do anti-foreclosure actions.
Cool.
Kind of cool. I think that, well, we've gotten our ideas from another group that's doing anti-foreclosure auctions much differently than the way the people in Boston are doing it. But anyway, that is, and actually, Bill, they want to have the training in Tacoma.
Would you like a little bit of backbone campaign theater at the foreclosure disruption? It would be beautifully disruptive.
Well, yeah.
Okay, well, I'll talk to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Besides for that, do you have anything else planned for like what you actually need to do at the auction?
Well, I watched a couple of good videos recently. One of them was people singing at an anti-foreclosure auction in New York. And it was amazing how long they were allowed to continue singing. That was something that really struck me about it. Then I saw another video at the Free Bradley Manning campaign of people singing at a $5,000 plate dinner, fundraiser dinner for Obama. And the song was all about how Obama, free Bradley Manning, you suck. But because instead of yelling it, they were singing it, they got to sing the whole damn song. And one lady, the lead lady who actually stood up, she was asked to leave. She didn't get escorted out. So more and more I'm thinking along the lines of singing. You get away with stuff.
Right, well, I'm a former raging granny, and I know all the raging grannies in Seattle. And nobody messes with the grannies because they're little old ladies. And I can pull them together and come down and say, yeah, very cool.
Carl?
A thought that I had was doing the mic check with the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights and we the people to form a more perfect union and all that kind of stuff, patriotic documents, right? So, somehow I think it would look bad to arrest somebody who's reciting the Declaration of Independence.
That's an idea too.
Does anyone want to go over the last action we had, do a debriefing on that? So who was there besides me, and facilitating?
Chat. So we had the NDAA action at the Pierce County Courthouse. Went really well in my opinion. We made up those 300 brochures and we passed out about 200 of them.
No, like all of them.
All of them.
There's like 5.
We had our skit planned out, that 2 little plays. I'm not sure who made those up, but we practiced them earlier on in the day, so we were able to do it twice down at the courthouse. It went real well. There's a lot of people down there that day. I think there's some big trial going on at the court, so there's quite a lot of activity there. So for the most part, what I've seen, it was mostly good, positive feedback that we got. We also had the Occupy Tacoma backboard, and we were taking mugshot pictures. Everybody was writing whatever messages they wanted to send out, so we did that. It was really cool. Anything else?
I'd say that there's a piece of state legislation that's been introduced called the Preservation Liberties Act, and it's basically, it's been introduced by 5 Republicans, and they're saying that the NDAA is unconstitutional, they don't agree with it, and they would like to protect Washington State citizens from the NDAA's reading, or ruling. So we'll definitely keep you notified as to when that will have its second reading in Olympia. And we'll probably have an action down there in support of that. Is there any more work group reports without proposals?
Actually, I just wanted to throw in an idea that came out of the NDAA action, and that is, rather than waiting until the afternoon or something like that, maybe we should start earlier in the morning.
Leonard Peltier Defense Day wants to thank Occupy Tacoma for lending their support and some bodies to March.
How was the Bradley Manning thing at Coffee Strong?
Didn't make it.
Dylan?
It was awesome. Sarah and I went. It was really informative. There was a lot of things that I now know about the case that I didn't know before. The guy that is doing the tour to raise funds for the guy's legal team has roughly made about $400,000, and it's super cool because he's not done doing it. He's like continuing to roll around the country. You can actually go to the website and ask for materials like flyers and pictures, t-shirts, stickers, and they'll mail it to your address that you request, like our P.O. box or your house address. And you give them like a little paragraph saying, this is what I plan on doing with it, this is how I plan on delivering it, distributing it to people. And then they just send it to you right away. Said it's not going to take more than a week, it'd be a couple of days.
Nice. Is there any more from action? No? Any work group reports with proposals? Is there any individual proposals?
I read this last week, and it was non-time sensitive, so I can read it again. Do you want me to actually read it again?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Did anybody not get it? I have a couple extra copies. You probably.
I don't think mine has.
Oh, Mike
It's
read it.
serial time.
Yeah, we've had enjoyable discussions.
Yeah.
Got one?
Oh, absolutely.
Slacker, I'm with
I've got two more.
I'll take one.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Okay,
Is this
proposal.
on the website too?
It is. It's everywhere.
Okay.
Proposal to support Occupy action in Washington, D.C. Sponsor Carl Anderson. Financial impact, none unless Occupy Tacoma wishes to raise money to send occupiers. That would be a separate proposal. Proposal details, proposal for the national occupation of Washington, D.C. Occupy power. I've got competition. Okay, proposal. 1. March 30th, 2012, people from across the country will begin to gather for an American Spring in Washington, D.C. The national occupation of Washington, D.C., now D.C. to oppose the corruption of both parties in conducting U.S. domestic and foreign policies. The Bill of Rights has been effectively, parenthetically, NDAA, destroyed, and the Supreme Court has allowed the Constitution to be perverted. We will unite against a corporate-controlled government which has failed to promote the public well-being. 2. Now D.C., which combines education, protest, and mobilization, will include a social forum from April 7th to 14th to bring together the experience, knowledge, and thinking of the 99%. Occupiers from across the country will present workshops on socially relevant areas, including political and policy issues, strategies for shifting power from the 1% to the 90%, which include building alternative systems, ending war and wars of militarization, and the strengths and weaknesses of the Occupy movement, as well as concrete descriptions of how to organize communities, hold general assemblies, live stream, and create your own media and other practical necessities for successful occupations. 3, we will celebrate Occupy Power with a day of music and arts in West Potomac Park near the new MLK Memorial. 4, civil resistance of Now DC will focus on the power structure in Washington, D.C. Now D.C. will unite occupations in a focus campaign developed by the Direct Action Working Group and refined during the first 2 weeks of April to demonstrate to elected officials in Washington, D.C. and K Street and corporate interests that the people no longer trust or accept their rule, that a radical transformation to a participatory democracy operating under the rule of law is essential. 5. All occupations are invited to endorse this event and to become involved. There are 7 working groups, a listserv, and weekly meetings by conference call on interoccupy.org, and in-person meetings when possible, alternating locations. Minutes will be posted. Visit the website now.dc.org and join a working group. Shape this event to be, by, and for the Occupy movement. It's been endorsed by Occupy Washington, D.C., Occupy New Orleans, Occupy San Diego, Occupy Denver, Occupy Houston, Occupy Baltimore, Occupy Baton Rouge, Occupy Springfield, which is on here, but it's also been endorsed by Occupy Virginia Beach and Occupy Wall Street. So that was last week.
If you're ready to vote, let me see your B. Okay. Is there any more discussion? Nobody wants to discuss anything?
I just want to say get that parade.
Okay. All those in favor of supporting this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14 for yes. Anybody opposed? 0. Any abstentions? 1, 2. Okay, then I miscounted before. There was 13 yeses, 2 abstentions, and a total of 16 people, which I don't believe is 20%.
It's not.
So the motion passes.
Oh, you can cut it off.
Oh, are there any blocks? Not like that.
Just get it.
Whatever, Mike. Are there any more individual proposals? All right, so we'll move on to general discussion. Is there any topics to bring up?
I have one, but I kind of need somebody to take over for So I just wanted to say that we officially do have a lawyer now, and thanks to Larry helped us. He's going to be doing pro bono. So if DOT contacts you, or if you see DOT in the park, and you guys have a conversation, don't answer any questions that are going to be sensitive to the park, because that should all be going through our lawyer at this point. But I'll have contact information up at the park if I leave.
Do you have his name?
Larry Hildes.
What was the last name?
Hildes.
Hildes.
And he contacted DOT by phone and by letter today, is what he said. So now DOT knows that we have a lawyer as well.
As a person who has been out of the loop a little bit, can I ask a couple of questions? Okay. I went on the Facebook site, didn't see anything in there really about what's been happening. So have people gotten together and discussed what they plan to do, or plan B, or what's happening there in developing some alternative plans for how to deal with this? If this happens, then we'll do this. If this happens, then we'll do this.
There have been a few discussions. There's been a few people going around gathering letters from the nearby businesses and the nearby community in support of us. There's a lodge of, I'm not sure the exact name, but the Lodge Brothers that are writing letters from them. That's great support there. Tacoma City Council is talking about whether or not they're, not the City Council, but some of the city officials, including the city manager, are talking about whether or not they want to write us a recommendation letter to DOT as well. And so these are all measures that we can take to prevent an eviction instead of having to do a post-eviction things.
We have a history of how the DOT got involved, who got them involved, so somebody called them, what happened?
As of right now, it seems as though DOT came down on their own will. I have no evidence to say either way, and so, like I said, it appears, in my opinion, to be the only thing that they came down for was because of the complaints from the nearby citizens and businesses. So that's the only thing that I know of right now as to why they came down.
I heard most of the complaints as well were from citizens driving by on the freeway entrance side of the park.
Is that what is here?
Yeah, that's what DOT.
They said we got complaints from people driving by.
They also said in the TNT report that it appears unsanitary. Now that means that because we passed with the health board, that it just looks dirty. It's not actually dirty. It just looks dirty. And so Hope has a lot more information on this. I was just kind of filling you guys in with what I had. So basically I just told him that we have Larry on our side now. And so, like I said, she's got more information on it.
I thought you were just gonna go.
So far as Larry was able to tell me when I talked to him on the phone 2 days ago, me and BG spoke with him.
Can you sit over here so the live stream will be able to hear you? Sorry.
Oh, all right.
The heater's kind of loud.
Okay. So I talked to Larry on the phone a couple of days ago with BG, and as far as he could tell us, the DOT has absolutely no legal basis for eviction at this point. That's pretty much the long and short of it.
That's great.
So what are we gonna do? Sorry.
Carl?
Since we just passed this proposal, I thought I'd mention that I learned about Larry's name from the organizers of Now DC. So,
Sarah.
I'm sorry, but. Funny question. So if indeed it comes down to being evicted, the big question is, have people decided they're going to stay or they're going to leave? Is there any kind of discussion about that?
We already know that this is too inflammatory of an issue to try and come to group consensus on.
Oh.
So I think what needs to happen is people just need to be left to their individual sovereignty to decide whether or not they want to defend the park.
Okay.
Zach?
I think I would like to make a proposal, but it might be kind of late, but saying that, you know, if we do get an actual notice that we take down our 2 big tents and put them up, hopefully at the park.
During the eviction.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want the cops coming in and just ruin it.
You don't want trashing.
But I would like to hope it's only if we actually do get a note.
I think that in the interim, we need to just drop thinking about eviction at all, because all that is distracting and wasted effort on things that we can't change and can't do anything about at this juncture. So what we need to focus on is connecting back up with the national movement and more actions in Tacoma and that kind of stuff. This whole eviction thing's just been a big wrench in the works, and that's exactly what they want, is they want us to stop doing.
exactly.
And that's what we've done.
Get back to the politics.
I think we do need to talk about it because otherwise, you know, we're just putting our tents at risk if we don't deal with the issue at hand.
I think that you don't understand how much notice we're gonna have. They'll give us a 72-hour notice, we'll get an injunction, and then they'll give us another notice, and then we'll file a TRO, and then they'll give us another notice. So it's not like they're gonna surprise, we're here tonight, you're gone. Because they can't do that, because it looks so bad.
I want to talk about something different, so.
Is there any more conversation about the eviction in the park for now? Okay, so any more topics for general discussion?
Yeah, I've begun,
You can, hold on, I just
I've
showed
started to get
Are
kind
you
of
do your
worried.
hand up? I see you.
It's all good. I just got here. I can't show up as monopolized.
Well, you showed up for the part that you wanted to talk about.
I don't want to talk about
I can't hear you.
something completely different. So, you know, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't talk about the park. It's just what I wanted to talk about isn't the park, that's all. I started to be kind of concerned over the fact that I cannot find out who owns the domain name Occupied Tacoma. I can't find out where it's hosted. I can't find out who's doing anything, and I'm becoming kind of worried about this, okay? And, yeah,
I heard that Stacy Emerson owns the domain name. Her name's Stacy Emerson, and she used to cook for.
Yeah, I think she was on the food work group.
Yeah.
Worked in the kitchen at the church.
Yeah, but Stacy Emerson left the movement. But
I'm
she's
not
still.
sure about her. I don't remember her ever cooking in church. I know she was an admin. She's my neighbor.
I think I have her confused in my brain, but anyway,
Yeah,
Stacy
she's my
Emerson-
neighbor. She's like
Let
lives
me-
like 4 houses.
Let me go at this a different way.
Okay.
I am of the opinion that there should be at least 2 people that we know, okay? I mean, that, you know, aren't Fig Newton people, okay? People that we actually know who can, in fact, change the domain to a different server if we need to do that, okay? I'm not, you know, we should have 2 people who can do that, who are authorized to change where the domain points to, what particular hosting service, okay? And that those 2 people need to be known to at least 2 other people. That's all I'm saying. Okay? I mean, we just need to know what we can do if we need to do something. And right now, we don't have that. We have somebody named Stacy, who, as far as I'm concerned, is a big dude. I don't know who this is.
Are you making a proposal?
I'm not making a
Clarifying.
proposal. I'm just trying, this is a discussion thing, right? You said, this is a discussion, that's what I'm doing, I'm discussing. Okay.
So, clarification. We have all access to that. We own the domain name. We, as in the Occupy Tacoma. I have access to that. It's just beyond my knowledge. I wouldn't know how to switch us to a different host. So that we have access, just no one with access currently has the know-how to do what you're saying.
Okay, here's the deal. You must have the login and password on your domain registered place, okay? I don't know where it's registered, okay? Maybe dingbat domains or left-wing domains or hoochie-coo domains. I don't know what domain registration service is being used, see? You do, I hope.
I don't, because I haven't had time to look. I have everything written down.
Okay.
I have not had time to look at all of the information I got when all of the passwords were transferred away from Stacy.
Right. Okay, so you do have that.
Yes.
So if you get run over by a bus, we're gonna need shit, but as long as you're around, you're okay, right?
Currently, I have it and Deborah has it. We are the designated password holders. We need to, at some point soon, redesignate
Okay, so you have-
more password holders.
Okay, so you have written down the name of the domain people that we have to work through to change where our domain name is pointing.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Well, that's good. I'll sleep a little bit better. I guess the other thing is, do we know where we're hosted right now? Do you know where, physically, do you know where Occupy Tacoma software is grinding away?
Physically?
Yeah,
Mm.
physically.
It's WordPress. It's run by WordPress, so it's on WordPress.
Well, that's,
No.
WordPress is a kind of software. What facility, what hosting service, the name of the hosting service where we currently are hosting? Do you know that?
Internet service provider or whatever that is that what you're talking about?
The hosting
It's stuff like GoDaddy.com.
Right,
Where you
there
go
you go,
to
something
and-
like-
the hosting service is written down. As for like physically where the hosting service is located, I have no idea.
I misspoke. I didn't physically, I mean, the name of the service. There's two different things. There's the domain guys and there's the hosting guys.
May I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
So I would like to make a suggestion that Adam research your concerns and come back in a week.
I twinkle.
Wonderful. We did this last week. Maybe this week it'll work. Okay, I'm done.
All right, this is completely unrelated. It's kind of more an announcement than discussion. On the 11th, that's Sunday, Occupy Seattle and a few other Occupy organizations are coming up, well, I guess down, to the church on, I don't remember what it's
Life
called, but it's
Center.
like, yeah, the Life Center Church on like 19th and Union-ish.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a funeral service and the Westboro Baptist Church is planning on protesting that. So what we're trying to do is get a bunch of people to go down with really big signs that are supportive and peaceful and things like blankets and stuff to just shield their signs so that mourners going into the service don't have to look at all that hate speech.
Why are they protesting? What's their beef?
Because it's the Westboro Baptist Church and they're assholes.
It's the Kansas
It's the God
Methodist.
hates bags people.
Oh.
Yeah.
Just the
Protest
funeral
it.
service for those two little boys in Graham, the Josh Powell thing that's on the news. And they're planning on protesting the,
Oh my God.
Red Wire. Saying that she because they're saying, it's her fault that those boys died.
Oh, let's politicize it.
So yeah, our plan is to not actually politicize it. That's kind of
Depoliticized.
that's
We're gonna
disgusting.
anti-protest.
Our goal is to shield them from that hatred. And yeah, it's gonna make us look good. It's kind of politicizing, but it's not like we're standing out front chanting 99%
No, I was
or
just
anything.
politicizing about the Baptists. So what time?
It starts, the actual service starts at I think 11, but the event, the Facebook event stuff says this show up around like 9:30 or 10, so we can all be in place when
What
they
day?
show up. Sunday, so February 11th.
That's this Sunday.
Yeah. If anyone can make it, that'd be great.
Any more general
Sarah?
discussion?
So, unfortunately, some Facebook admin has been censoring people. There's 11 of us. I don't know who it is. I don't even know how to find this out. But there's been posting in regards to, the thing in particular is the Tacoma News Tribune article that came out recently about the DOT contacting the park. And people were posting about, and it wasn't any Doug Taylor type stuff. It was basically like, so what now? What is Occupied Tacoma? What's the future of Occupied Tacoma going to be beyond the park? Those type of comments and people got censored. Mike Ladd and Heidi Stormer and Libby Bennett and Corey Bennett, all.
Did mine get censored too? Did mine get censored too?
I don't know. The people that did get censored actually made comments about it being censored, and Mike actually took a screenshot. And Mike and Heidi were watching the screen while posts were disappearing and reappearing.
Wow.
And Mike took a screenshot of his post saying, "I'm taking a screenshot now, so if you censor this, I have proof that." Anyway, I think most, if not all, of the posts did get reappeared, but it's
So they hid them, they didn't delete them?
exactly, yeah. But they were specifically posts of people talking about it's time for the movement to move on. It wasn't any other posts, so it wasn't just like a glitch in Facebook.
Hope Adam.
I was going to say that it still might be a glitch in Facebook because I know on the Seattle page we've had a big problem with that, is stuff just vanishing, and it goes like to the hidden posts. We had to go back and unhide like hundreds of posts every day because they just vanish.
My question is, are these posts or comments on a post?
They're comments on a post, and there were a lot of comments on the post, and only the comments, like say there was 20 comments, only like the 4 or 5 comments that were specifically from people saying, you know, it's time to move on type of things. Only those ones out of all of the posts were the ones that were hidden. That's why it appears more like censoring than a glitch. Because how would a glitch only affect certain comments of a certain persuasion and not other comments? Right? So,
Neil, Zach?
I can also state that the NDAA pictures that I posted disappeared less than 24 hours after they went out.
I don't know if like maybe it is a glitch because you know Facebook, I do it all the time too online. I'm like I just posted something and it's gone. So but then I was gonna say that is it even possible to make it so none of the people can delete them anything? So yeah. So I mean, what's the point
So
of
it's
discussing it? I mean, shit's gonna happen.
what's the point in discussing it?
Well, I mean, I see
We
the
need
point,
to bring it up, but we can't, it's not like we can find out who did it or punish someone or even revoke their admin access because we don't know and there's no way to find out.
right, and we can't like stop it in the future if somebody did decide to do that, because there's no way.
Sarah, Adam, Aaron.
Well, there, Hope did make an admin site, and I need to figure out from you how to get into them. Yeah, so admins can discuss issues like that. For example, BG had to, well, she censored Doug Taylor recently, and before she did it, she went to the admin Facebook site and said, hey, you guys, this is happening. I really think we need to censor him. But none of us responded to her in a deep, because we were all busy or whatever, and so she took it upon herself to censor him. She posted in that admin site, hey, I censored Doug. So we do, but, I mean, there is a way for admins to discuss amongst each other if they're gonna be doing stuff like that. And so the reason I'm bringing it up is I'm hoping that if it was censorship, that whoever may have done it won't do it anymore, because it makes the movement look really bad.
I'm sorry, sir, I didn't mean to say like don't discuss it, of course we should discuss it, like it's totally wrong. But
So to follow up on what Sarah said, my suggestion is just as you run into people, it sounds like, frankly, one of our own that has a particularly strong opinion is probably doing that impeded censorship. So once again, just to when you run into people, when you talk to people, part of the movement, just express your concern and express your desire for them not to do that. Because stifling your speech is just not what they're about.
Any other discussion topics?
Kind of falling back on Facebook bit, it's not on Facebook. I've been in rather extensive contact with Oliver Sparks, who has had a number of his posts and a number of his proposals disappear on the website. Somebody has been censoring him on the website, and it's been specifically him.
Sarah, Adam.
On OccupyTacoma.org.
Yes. Somebody has been specifically deleting his posts.
Adam.
Just, I couldn't hear, who?
Oliver Sparks.
The worm compost guy.
No, I know, Aubrey. Are these off of the main site or the forum?
I believe it's off of the forum as well as off of the proposal section where he's been posting some proposals here and there.
Okay,
Being deleted.
I don't know about the proposal section. I'll look into that. I do know the forum. We're about to switch to a new forum because our current one has loads of security loopholes and lots of really bad things have been happening in the forums.
Mine's at Maggie.
Since you brought it up, how's that going? How's the switch over to the civil machines going?
My webmaster for my website is currently working on it.
Okay. Checks in the mail.
I'm not in media group at all, but just speaking from like somebody who gets on the forum, I really hate it when you go into a conversation and then you're like reading through it all and then you're like, you know exactly what you want to say and then you get to the end and it's like conversation closed and I'm like, what? It's really annoying. I just wanted to say it.
Maggie.
I was just wanting to say that I'm going to see Aubrey on Saturday, so I'll go ahead and ask him whether it's still happening or not, and let you guys know whether it is or if it isn't. But last I knew, he said that it was.
About conversations being closed, as far as I'm aware, anyone who starts the conversation can end the conversation. So there's not really anything we can do to tell people not to close things.
I didn't know that.
That's too much power. You open that door, you know.
You unleash the beast of conversation. Adam, Carl.
So just to clarify, yeah, problems with the forum are multitude, and we're hoping within the next few days we'll have a new forum set up that won't have all of these problems.
And I just noted the last couple times that I've gone there, it seems that there's less political content and more sniping and
Yeah.
really nasty little stuff that's just... I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about people without political content. At least you have political content. You know?
No, I'd like to say that you're talking about TJ sock puppets.
No, there's more than that.
There's more than the TJ sock puppets at work?
Oh,
TJ Sock Puppets, TJ Blacken in disguise.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got about 15 different names
Oh, really?
he uses. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
okay, because there's just
Let me give you some tips on how to recognize the TJ sock puppets. Okay, number one, you'll see that they've only posted 2 or 3 things, like they're new, right? Because he gets new ones all the time, okay? That's one clue right there. If you run into somebody and this is their 3rd or 4th post, pretty sure, and it's a nasty comment, you can pretty well bank on it being a TJ sock puppet team, okay? That's one clue right there. The other one is that his intent is to destroy any kind of rational conversation. That's
Who
what
the fuck is he?
That's what he does.
Who is he?
I think it's best to just pass over his comments and comment on whatever's before.
If it's who I think it is, his name is Milton, his last, and he lives in Florida. And he haunted me for years on using that news, doing this constantly. Not just me, but a lot of people.
He's got nothing better to do.
Yeah, I don't know, he probably gets paid for doing it. I don't, that's who I think it is, but I can't prove it.
Does anybody care if I like talk about an action that I want to do?
Sure.
Yeah, we care.
I know this ain't action work group,
Well, when is the next action work group, by the way?
Action
Tomorrow.
Work Group is tomorrow at 3:30 at Bella's Pizza across from the park at 3:30.
but okay.
And be there early because it seems like there's going to be quite a crowd.
It's been pretty full the last couple meetings.
So I wanted to put together a barbecue, maybe possibly probably March, and I want to kind of do maybe make it a fundraiser, and I kind of have a few ideas on it, but I'll just tell you about a couple. Like I want to go to like local businesses and see what we can get donated, and like maybe show up with the camera because I know. We've been telling businesses that, we would do a little commercial for them and put it on our live stream. And so I think if we like show up with the camera, that way they actually know that it's getting done, you know, and then see what they can do to help us out with the barbecue. And then make sure wherever the barbecue is, that it's somewhere like, you know, where there's going to be a lot of people, so that we can take advantage of it. Have some signs out there so everybody can see, you know, who we are. And I guess that's kind of it. I have a couple more ideas for it, but I'd rather tell you personally. So if anybody wants to talk about it, let me know.
Especially right now, I think it's a great way to bring the neighbors that are right around Occupy on board with supporting Occupy. I think that's a terrific idea. And I would suggest Tolleson right down the street because it's big enough, and make sure to invite the vendors that are helping out to come down to the barbecue.
Do it when school's in. You do.
Yeah. I met with Mike Collier recently, and he had a really good idea. Was to have like a spaghetti dinner fundraising for the same kind of idea for like maybe a spring relaunch of our occupation, and to do a spaghetti dinner with a live show at the end at the park, kind of like what we did on New Year's. He said that he'd be willing to talk to First Baptist and see if we could have dinner in the basement, and then come down to the park for the live show afterwards. Do like a $5 spaghetti plate, something like that, and bring out fun and incorporate both ideas and really make it big, especially now that we have that front piece of the lawn in the park. Maybe like a replanting ceremony or something like that.
Sarah? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm trying to talk about something else, but they're not talking.
Go ahead.
No, is there anybody else that wants to say anything more about that?
There's something about fundraising. I have access now to a button maker and a screen press.
Whoa!
So I just really need to figure out how much it's going to cost to buy the supplies to make buttons, because I have to supply our own button, you know, the clear plastic and backing and stuff. So I need, and I'll bring a proposal on Sunday for how much it's going to cost to get the supplies to actually make shirts and buttons for Occupy Tacoma.
I want to make buttons. Can I help?
I love button covers.
It's probably going to be, I'm estimating, if we buy like a gallon of paint, and the screen is probably $50, and that's enough for the shirts right there. I'm sure they'll let us use their screen cleaner and gloves and all that stuff. Like I use gloves anyway. And the button supplies I think are only about $100 for 1,000 buttons. So I'm thinking about $250 hopefully out the door. Oh, and t-shirts themselves. That's another thing to talk about. Buying brand new t-shirts can be really expensive, and we could buy shirts at the Goodwill or have people donate old, you know, not trashed but old t-shirts, and just make recycled t-shirts.
Do something like and then like bring down your favorite hoodie. We'll put Occupy Tacoma on for you.
We could totally do that. My only concern with that is the heater that dries the screen print ink. It takes a lot of power to run it, so we'd have to find a look. You know, like it would definitely not work at the park. It blows the circuit at my friend's house where it's at. If we put anything else on the circuit, I mean, it takes a lot of wattage.
My youngest son did that professionally, go and just scoop up t-shirts and Goodwill and places like that, or you could bring your own t-shirt down. He would screen print. He's pulling over $1,000 a weekend sometimes for the people bring their own one. String up the line with some clothes and go out and drive and tell them to take it from there.
The reason why the power
You don't have to be responsible.
it's a power shortage is because you have the backup supply.
Look at this t-shirt, that's
We
nice.
use the perfect spot to do it.
Dylan, put your hand up.
I don't want to take this off subject, so whenever we're done discussing the topic at hand, I'll talk about this thing.
Jose was talking about, how he used to do that for his band and stuff like that.
Yeah, I made sure it was open. Right.
On that note, I was there with him when we investigated what he had in the foxhole, and he's got like 20 shirts. It's a mix of like the tank tops to spaghetti strap shirts to actual t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies. So there's all kinds of assorted stuff in there, but there's only like 15, 20. And so as a base to maybe make funds to get this stuff going, we can do that.
I just wanted to say last year at Pride, I had a booth with the Communist Party and we sold shirts that we did old school silk screen with fucking squeegees and shit.
That's what I know.
And yeah, and they sold for $5. We sold all of them. Completely made up the entire cost of the booth plus the cost of getting better supplies for better screen. Even though some of them were crooked, some of them were blotchy, people were still just eating it up.
That
so.
makes them rustic.
Exactly. It's aged. Antique.
Vintage,
Yeah, Robin Finance is completely through school right now.
People like cheap shirts. Is there any more discussion topics? I love that one.
I think Sarah first.
Mine's really quick. I just wanted to commend Jose and Cameron because they went to the Tacoma Housing Authority for Emily and James, an elderly couple that came to the park and asked 2 people from Occupy Tacoma to come and take notes for them while they were at sort of a pre-eviction meeting at the Tacoma Housing Authority. And so Jose and Cameron stepped up and went there and took notes for them to help them prepare for defending themselves from eviction from their housing.
Cool.
You gonna say something about that?
Just about the Tacoma Housing Authority, I remember my brother talking, or he was actually talking to me about this.
Super hearsay.
Yeah, so it's still kind of
Discussion.
cool. Some representative from Tacoma Housing Authority apparently came down and was talking about how he wants to put people in houses Thursday and then deal with the bureaucratic bullshit with the city later. So, I mean, just a kind of an interesting thought. If maybe we had an effect on the Tacoma Housing Authority that they actually want to come down and help us, and that's a big win for Occupy Tacoma. But if not, then not, So, this is still speculation at this point. But.
Unless they just want to spread us out.
Yeah.
Did you say that he's coming down Thursday?
Yeah, apparently
To OT?
Yeah.
Huh.
But dude was way supportive and super sympathetic, talking about it's such bullshit that, the homeless problem in Tacoma, and was way down to help everybody. And so talking about I'll bring keys on Thursday and deal with the paperwork later and all the bullshit. I'll take the tongue lash and I'll put you guys in houses. So that's, it's kind of cool.
Maybe big talk, but it sounds great.
Again, it could just be talk, but I figured it'd be something to bring everybody's spirits up. There are people out there that are supporting us. So we've got a lot of support in the community.
I think it's a really good idea that we were talking about earlier for the springtime and livening up the occupation with having a live music situation. I think the same thing should apply for the eviction day. Whether we stay or whether we go, there'll be a time frame that's going to be stamped on the eviction notice, like midnight or 11, like there was in Portland. That way we would know what time we have to be out of there. But my idea is to have a music thing. I've already talked to local artists, like a couple. Feel free to invite anybody that you know to do the same. Make yourself a set list or something. But that way they can have all their equipment out of there. They wouldn't have to worry about having their stuff trashed or thrown into a dumpster because they know what time they got to get their stuff in and out. Bring people down there at the same time, even if we do go. They can still get some word from us.
Well, you're one local musician that we know.
Travis.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone's read my front page post or following the next chapter of Occupy Tacoma. The forum, the next chapter of Occupy Tacoma. I don't know if anyone's followed it or read the post I put up or anything. Okay. I've just I'm trying to get this coordination thing going. It's just basically a whole nother kind of framework for us to organize and collaborate and get things done. It's pretty fundamental to the way the whole thing operates. But I'm just drawing up templates and stuff like that, and hoping more people will help me out to, because there's lots of things I don't really know a whole lot about, but at the same time I'm trying to incorporate them and put them in a logical, hierarchical fashion. Okay, I'll just read the responsibilities of the coordination work group. So we maintain work group databases, so everyone who's in there, and we're doing project coordination, like collaborative amongst work groups and things like that. So who's working where and what they're doing, what their specific task is, things like that. Maintain procedural guidebook for GAs and individual work groups, which I'm working on the one for the GA right now. Ensure group meetings are posted as events on Facebook and ot.org, and there's weekly volcanoes. Send reminder emails, phone calls for members the day before the meeting. Propose/establish one comprehensive form for groups to fill out after the meeting, so it's just easy for us to input it, and there's no confusion about exactly what should be filled out or anything like that. So like here, everyone just fills this out, but it's comprehensive. Okay. Oh yeah, create Google Docs folders for members of each work group to collaborate within. So I already did this with legislative coordination, and it's just literally just filing, putting files together and stuff, so it's just really easy for people to keep organized and groups.
You said Google Docs, right? Yeah. And from my understanding, Google Docs is like super hard to use for anybody. It's like not compatible with a lot of other systems, and like it's hard to use. I may be mistaken, but is there a way to use something, other kind of file format other than Google Doc?
No, I don't know of anything that would be easier than that. I mean, it's the simplest one I go with, and it's all cloud and free, and it's like
And completely insecure.
It is insecure, but we're not going to be dealing with things that need to be secure. So, and then the other thing is I got, well, maybe, not something that's on the cloud or something. I don't know. You can't now thumb drives all over the place. It should be online, just for it to collaborate online. But then we have but then that's only for members who signed up for that work group and attend meetings and whatnot to collaborate with it. Not for everyone to view or to just, share it with the world. But then we can have, I've already done this somewhat, a site where it shows everything being updated in real time for non-members to view. It's all transparent and everything like that. It's just that they can't go in there and edit. So we'll do that. Collect work group notes and send all members of the work group to review. And if there's no notes, we'll make contacts with the facilitator. We'll review those notes so that other work groups should be notified, if they need to be notified, because this is relevant to them. So just making sure that connection happens. Propose and establish procedural templates for GAs and work groups. This is like request volunteers with specific skill sets as needed by individual work groups at each GA and online. That's a whole other thing I developed, I'm working on. If anyone's like proficient at Excel, I've been doing I got the equations and stuff like that to make this algorithm that would supply the best match for depending on the person's listed skill sets. So that the whole point of all this, the main point of the skill set is.
Isn't this a proposal and not discussion?
No, it's something to
Very much
discuss.
like
It's not ready to be a
announcement.
proposal yet, I think. It's just something to think about. And it's all in line, so you can, no one's really participated in the discussion, but, it's.
I feel like it's too much for people. Like you're doing so much, and it's appreciated that you're putting in such an effort. But I feel overwhelmed by it every time I start to look at it. You emailed it to me a couple times.
So it's.
Sarah, Zach.
I'm gonna look at it online. I saw it online and I didn't read it thoroughly. I'm actually gonna use it to help me plan for action work group and campaign, anti-foreclosure campaign meetings. I mean, not in any formal way, but just as a way to cue me so that I can, prepare and get, like you said, notify people, remind people, post it, basically as a checklist for me. I think it.
I just like the idea of having this whole work group that's just responsible to make sure all work groups are coordinated with one another. It's like their sole purpose, and you know what I'm saying? Just otherwise, it's like work groups kind of have to work isolated from one another. I mean, it's like they work on the individual projects. Whereas if we could get together as a GA and determine what kind of big project we want to do that requires the collaboration of all these different work groups, we're really going to need another work group to make sure that to facilitate this.
So is your idea on the Facebook page or
No,
on
I
the
never did. I
website?
never did the Facebook thing.
So it's on the website?
Yeah, you can't really discuss things.
All right.
So let's hear from some people.
Did you have?
The GA already is our organizational tool for this, and we already have a process. We don't need a new process and a whole bunch of it. It's very unapproachable, and it's very difficult to bring back to the real world out of all like the charts and forms and fill this out and that out, and I feel like it's going to alienate a lot of people.
What can I respond to that? It's nothing compared to a company or a corporation.
We're
We're
not.
nothing compared
We're
to a company or a
neither.
corporation.
Why- I think it'd be.
If we don't, we're.
May I ask that you hear some people?
Can we keep staying?
Go ahead.
I was
I had permission to respond. So.
Okay.
Mike clarifying.
I think that Hope hits the nail pretty much on the head. Your stuff, can you figure out some way to simplify it without quite so much detail? And then when you go into the little simplified places, it gets all kabooberated.
Yeah.
Because in the way you're presenting this, it's tough.
Yeah, sure.
It is very, very hard to swallow that all in one fell swoop. Very difficult to do. So,
It's
so
not.
and Hope, I know you don't want any more organization any more than I do. I'm the most unorganized guy in the world, but trying to get the work group people to post their stuff is like you have to use a whip. I mean, you call them on the phone and raise hell. So they'll put the stuff, do the report. Just, here's what we did. That's all you got to do.
Zach, dial on.
So, it's not like you don't need to do anything, because you do. Okay, I had my say.
This is the first time I heard about it. I'm not the smartest person in the room, and I understood it, I think, and I liked it. I mean, I think we need it. I think what you said about how there's no connection in all the separate work groups, I think that does hurt us. And I think if we had the right people to get in on this group, somebody who is attending the other meetings and stuff, I think this group could really do some good. And I just wanted to say that I'm not against organizations or corporations, and I'm not against being rich.
Zach, Ryan. Taylor, Ryan.
It's definitely overwhelming to hear, but it starts to make a lot more sense as the premise was given. He's talking about making a work group and forming a work group for the sole purposes of making all the work groups function just a little bit more smoothly. It's like adding some WD-40 to your bike so it's a little more greased up and less jerky. Just like having your first day at the job or even your first week at a job, it's overwhelming to get like all the tasks that you got to do together. They let you know that you're there to work as a team and you don't have to swallow it all at once. They know that you got to like take time to like work on it. I'm not going to hold it against anyone for saying they're against it. I totally am accepting of that. But I feel like we should like work with some of the ideas at least. Like Sarah suggested, she has an idea of how she's going to make it work for her. That's all.
Right.
I guess I would just be careful about how many responsibilities we try to give to this work group, because if we have another overloaded work group, then it's just going to be as inefficient as it is right now. And so if we give another group of people that are already overloaded more things to do, then I think that we may be shooting ourselves in the foot. And so really work through it and see if it's really priority things that are being taken care of. It's really things that are necessary instead of things that we want to have happen, because sometimes we got to go priority over ones.
I don't think you could be giving them too much responsibilities, because it's up to the work group to decide how much they're going to take on, and if they take on too much and they don't accomplish it, then the work group fails. So we have work groups that fail all the time. People propose, we're going to start this work group, and it's a great idea. It's just it doesn't go through. But I guess the point is, like, what's it going to hurt to try?
I just want to acknowledge Catherine, because this sounds like it's a response to a conversation that happened in NGA several weeks ago ongoing for what was happening to any semblance of structure with the occupied park, and people were very dissatisfied. And it sounds like you spent a lot of time trying to think this through and trying to make it work more efficiently and smoothly. And although I am no technical person and I got overwhelmed, I'm visual, so I'm going to make a point of going and looking at the chart, because I have to see it.
Yeah, I have them right here if you want to look at them.
I'd love to look at it, yeah. So I appreciate the work that you put into this.
I would look it over and read it and think about it before I say no. And have a good judgment on it. For instance, if you're talking about work group overload and stuff like that, well, the point of the having the skill sets and stuff is that you basically have a large body of people that, like online or in their homes and whatnot, that don't have to go to the meetings and drive around and all this stuff. And they're basically volunteers to volunteer. So, well, they volunteer to volunteer basically just by filling out a simple form. They say, oh yeah, I'm good at this and that and the other thing. And then the work groups, when they're overwhelmed, they say, I need these skills, this and that. And then that would bring up the best match. These equations are not that difficult, but I don't want to learn Excel right now. If someone could just help me program
I guess what I meant when I was saying about work group overload is that the individuals that are going to be in this group,
the coordination group,
right, are going to be individuals that are in other work groups, right? And so maybe not necessarily, but generally speaking, a lot of the people here are in multiple work groups. So maybe I haven't read over the entire proposal, and so maybe you should have a solution for it.
questions.
Just want to do a time check. It's 8:20.
Yeah, this could go on for a long time. We'll finish, well, not so, yeah.
My thought is just trying to ease the process instead of making it more difficult. I like what you have to say about making sure that everyone's communicating, making sure that we all have a flow going. Because there's been instances like at the beginning of the occupation where it was really difficult to keep media caught up with our actions. And if we're all communicating as well as possible, then those things may not happen. And so I like them, but maybe just like I said, try to prioritize and make sure that the things that the people are doing are necessary, and so that they can have extra time to work on their
I would
work.
say the GA does that kind of stuff, really. It's kind of up to the GA.
Then why are we making new work group to make it GA?
No, that's just priority type stuff. Like, you know, do what project we would want to carry out next, and stuff, then, yeah, coordination of work groups and stuff, we'll figure that out.
Mike?
I have something else I want to talk about.
Real quick, I can build all the, everything on here easily in a day, so I already have a lot of them done. I can use a lot of the text I've already written and stuff or pamphlets to hand out to people driving by or whatever, asking them to get involved. It's just online, so it's a minimum amount of effort. They would just get called and with the details of what they want to do they want to do it or not. I really pretty much do the whole thing. It's just people just literally have to fill out a form and say, yeah, sure, I'll let you do pretty much everything as far as coordinating and making sure calls are made and stuff like that. It's not going to be that big of a deal, really. It sounds like a big deal. It's just a lot of, it's kind of just what we're doing. I guess maybe it's a template, like I said. Just I want people I'm asking people to participate in the idea a little bit. So,
All right, well, we can definitely bring it up again and go online, everybody check it out.
Oh, yeah. I'd like to have some more conversation about what's going to happen in Olympia on the 18th and this thing in Washington, D.C. I don't know where that's going to happen. I mean, is that in the action work group, or where will that kind of conversation be? Catch as catch can? Or
The proposal was for, should I respond to that?
Yeah.
The proposal was for expressing solidarity. I don't know how many people we're going to get from Tacoma, Washington to go to Washington, D.C. It's a long ways away. I know that a couple people have expressed interest. As far as which work group, I would assume Action sounds as good as any. They have their fight. So if people have enthusiasm for it, then people will want to do something around it. And I've not fully gauged the level of enthusiasm. There's inter-occupy calls that you could get on. That are weekly conference calls on Sundays at 6. That's not the best time for Occupy Tacoma. There's a website. There's things you could volunteer for. You could volunteer to give a workshop if you wanted to. But if I was going to volunteer myself, but I'm going to be out of town most of the next month.
well, that was really the question. Is that those of us, and I am, those of us who are interested in that kind of thing. Also, though, I wanted to bring up the thing in Olympia on the 18th. I know you're going to go. You offered
One day.
One day, you offered people a ride. I think I'd like to talk with other people that want to actually do something there. It's just go. I mean, maybe there's something that we could do in Olympia that would be worthwhile. I don't know. I mean, some kind of they're having a series of quote unquote workshop things, and you need to tell them you're going to do something, and when you do, they'll put you on the schedule so you can do it, whatever it is.
You mean
I
do a
don't see
workshop?
anybody, huh?
Have us do a workshop there?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, and maybe not. Maybe there's nothing that we would want to do, but no one's, it seems to be you and,
I think it's a flutter for what you're talking about, Mark.
opening the can of worms or anything.
Is that what we're talking about right now?
This is,
The Solidarity Forum?
Yeah.
Occupy Olympia, yes.
Yeah.
This is the thing. This is on the 18th.
Okay, so Zach?
What if we just like put up a booth or something and just like sat outside of one of the big forums and just like try to get people to come talk to us, and then we like talk them into coming to Tacoma, moving this, I don't know.
No, I don't think that's what we want to do, but
We're talking about setting up an actual.
Why don't you go to the actual work group meeting tomorrow, and we're gonna be breaking off into little subgroups and
Yeah.
maybe recruit some people to think of something to do.
But it's great to have the button machine down there, let people make their own buttons.
I don't have any supplies to make buttons.
Right, not yet.
well, I just thought I'd bring it up. I
Okay. I was like, I thought she said tomorrow at actual work group. I was like, I'm not gonna get it.
Mic check.
Come on, guys.
My basic interest was to hear what other people had to say from different places. There is going to be people from the Now DC on Saturday only. They're going to be in Portland the day before. So, you know, my purpose in telling people about that was you know, sometimes we could be inward looking, and I wanted people to meet and co-aesthetize with other people, and that was really was my goal. The idea of putting on a workshop, I think the foreclosure people have the most timely thing to talk about.
But they have the least time.
Yeah.
They're pretty busy.
Yeah.
That did cross my mind, but that's the thing is probably we won't have time. And I would love to like give a workshop about how we helped her save her home, but that's gonna be after the.
Yep.
Yeah.
But what I was thinking about was, I wonder if there's gonna be anyone giving a workshop on how the Occupy movement helped with the ILWU thing in Longview. I mean, basically, the Occupy movement had a huge role in causing EGT, that huge shipping corporation, to change their mind and start up negotiations again with the ILW, with the longshoremen. And now the longshoremen are going to be the ones unloading and loading their ships. And I mean, there just can't be any doubt about it that Occupy played a huge role in that, and it would be great. I can't even go to Olympia because I work. But anyway.
I've been hearing from different angles about that, and I wouldn't be so sure. I know we put some effort out there, but there's some real strong feelings against the role that the Occupy movement played and the fines that it caused the longshore to have to eat.
We didn't how did
Yeah.
Occupy cause any fines to the,
Well, it's complex.
because we never even went down there.
Right.
We just had meetings and talked about it.
Yeah. I'm
And
not
then
saying
they
it's
got scared,
necessarily-
and they got scared of what might happen, and.
It's not necessarily the Occupy Tacoma group, but I've sat in on some longshore meetings and also some Jobs with Justice meetings and heard from some other points of view. And they actually were not real happy with the Occupy movement's role in it. So maybe that would be the workshop to do. It's because there's been feelings on it.
Okay.
Zach?
Thanks.
I think this is really weird information because Occupy has never done any kind of action for the longshoremen. The longshoremen have come to Occupy for a meeting, and the higher ups in the union actually came to the meeting that the longshoremen were holding for Occupy and got in this big fight. Is that not right?
My understanding is that some of the resentment might come from Oakland, not Tacoma.
And then,
Now, they play a big role.
well, we're talking about EGT.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, Occupy, we haven't done nothing there, so I don't see how we could have started problems.
Or caused fines.
And that's what I'm saying, is some of the ill will, I think, comes from Oakland, not from this particular immediate thing that you guys are working on. Right, so I think that it's, we're talking apples and oranges here.
Talking about more like December 12th.
Or the aftermath of that possibly.
Yeah.
Okay. Any more things to say?
Any more discussion topics? Any announcements? Action work group tomorrow at 3:30.
Oh, I had something question for Sarah, or for anybody who can answer. We had set up a meeting to have a national grievances out of Occupy Tacoma meeting. And I didn't attend it myself, and I was wondering if anybody knew if that meeting ever happened.
The meeting didn't happen.
The Super Bowl happened.
Maybe I'll make a thing on the forum about it, and we'll try and get another meeting scheduled.
I had at one time high hopes for the 99% declaration, but I'm sorry, maybe I must be out of touch. What am I doing wrong?
This is not about the 99% declaration, and you and I had a forum or email discussion. It should actually be called a list of solutions, not a list of grievances.
Oh, cool!
This was not about the 99%
Oh.
declaration. It's about basically a list of solutions, right? Not necessarily
No,
a
it was
list
a list
of
of
grievances.
grievances, but it was not going to be in the replicated version of the 99% declaration. Was going to be our list.
Yes.
Are you guys confusing? Oh wait.
He's thinking we're talking about like the, remember when we were doing the teachings on the 99% declaration?
Right. Well, I was talking more like the Declaration of Wall Street. How they, have you ever read that?
I love that.
The Declaration of Wall Street.
It's one of the things that got me involved.
It's a little statement, and then it has a list
The
of
bullet points.
grievances and
Like
whatever you want to call them. Whatever you want to call them. And it was a
just
real.
like with Ray McKinney.
I'm pretty sure it's a real rough
Replicated after.
draft from way in the beginning of the occupation. There were some things on there that I didn't necessarily know if I agreed with or not. But anyway, we had talked about Occupy Tacoma coming up with something similar to that.
Better.
Yeah, definitely
Something
better.
better than that?
Just that way we can send out a national grievance list, or whatever you want to call it, from Tacoma.
Well,
I'll just get as many occupied as we can to enforce it.
I
Not necessarily just from us, we want it to be from everyone.
I would very much like to attend any meeting, any forum, any whatever that talks about solutions instead of grievances. And I just, whatever you want to call it, and you want to talk about doing something about stuff, let me know. I'll be there with bells on.
Zach?
I like that idea too, but I think that's a totally different idea. I want to support the grievances because I necessarily don't look at Occupy. That's a hard way to say that, but I feel like we should still just be getting awareness out there. And so solutions to me, I think, is jumping the gun when I start thinking about myself trying to come up with solutions for Occupy. So in just my eyes, I'd much rather just work on some grievances. And I hope that all the Occupies across the country make their own national grievances, and I think they'd probably all come out looking somewhat the same.
I'm sure they would.
So I think it'd be really cool if we all did it, and I think eventually we will.
You have a good point, that we still have to get the awareness out there. I mean, just because we keep talking to the same people doesn't mean that everybody else is on board.
Dylan?
Just like the list of grievances or problems that need to be addressed that have been posted by Occupy Wall Street, Michael Moore's website has the same thing that almost mirrors the Occupy Wall Street grievances. Another thing is, I'm not super excited about the fact that one of these admins is running around censoring things, so I'm kind of like on a hunt now to figure out who it is. It's very upsetting. It doesn't please me or anybody else at all that somebody's like playing God. We gotta get
Watch who's an admin when things are getting censored, who's online at that time.
You can hide yourself from being online though. Yeah, you can make yourself appear.
Well, I didn't say that on the live stream.
Whoops.
Rewind.
Either way, we're after you if you're watching.
Okay, Mike?
I want everybody to know I'm not an admin.
I'm not an admin.
do it.
I am an admin, but
I'm not a-
I'm an admin, but not on the Facebook page. Zach?
I want to give a plug for this report that Mike Gladford has posted. It's something along the lines of the city council. The city council, how they're gonna still put in money for a parking garage and a couple other things I can't really remember off the top of my head. And then they're like trying to take away libraries and shit like this.
Right.
So it's a nice little report, and it's on Mike Platt's Facebook and mine as well. Zachary Payment, and I'm sure it's on Tacoma's as well. So I just wanted to give a plug, let y'all check it out.
Just time check, we got about 19 minutes left.
Sarah?
Was it the Tacoma News Tribune article?
Yeah.
Okay.
And just to clarify on that, city council meetings are Tuesday at 5 p.m.
On that note, though, there's one tomorrow at 5 o'clock to deal with the same issue that we were there for last week.
which is
God, I'm getting so tired. I can't.
big box development.
Large
Yeah.
scale retail.
There's a meeting tomorrow.
Yes, they scheduled it tomorrow.
Cool.
Yeah.
At City Council building?
At City Council. No, this one's in Evergreen.
It's a public meeting.
Yeah, Evergreen College.
All right, are there any more announcements?
I moved to approve.
Have a good one. See you guys soon. Tomorrow at Action.
Will you be there Saturday?